Hi, welcome to Bio at the BAYOU. I'm Michelle Benz with Fierce Biotech. Joining me today is Carolyn Scofield of Tulane.
Hi, Michelle. Great to see you.
Great to see you again. Thanks so much for joining us and taking the time to answer a few questions for us. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your background and what you do at Tulane?
Sure. Yeah, I am Carolyn Scofield. I'm the Assistant Director of Marketing and Communications at Tulane University School of Medicine, and I've been doing that since 2021. Before that, I was doing public relations for Tulane University, and then for 14 years before that, I was a television news reporter.
Wow. Very interesting background. I'm sure you have a lot of stories you could share.
Oh, many.
So what's capturing your focus right now? What's the most interesting topic on your mind?
We are dealing with quite a few things at the School of Medicine. One thing we're working on is setting up a strategy for communications, because a lot of times it feels like we've been more responsive and doing more of communications on the back end, and we're trying to be more proactive with our conversations or in our communications. And we didn't really have a brand strategy when I started at the School of Medicine. And so working on getting a brand strategy together, and that is a strategy for everything from social media and social media guidelines, maybe a social media policy and brand guidelines, a style guide for those kind of things, and making sure that we're all at the School of Medicine across a group of more than 3,000 people sharing a cohesive, united message.
You want to make sure it's all aligned. That can be challenging. So have you decided anything new from that so far?
That it's harder than I thought. Especially if you're coming into an organization that is rather large and that has traditionally not had like a central team to go to for communications. And I think a lot of times when we sit in these panels, people talk about bringing in the communicators early. And I'm seeing why that's so important, because if you try to do it on the back end, people have historically created their own logos or posted their own content on the internet without understanding search engine optimization, and trying to rein that back in is, I think, more difficult than having guidelines on the outset. But I've been able to build a good team around me that has been helping with the web and helping with graphic design. And we have a chief strategy officer, James Vanowitz, who is great at leading us and also empowering us to make those decisions. And what I'm trying to encourage my team members and the people that work with me is that we're the experts in communications. And sometimes, especially when you're talking to people with doctorates and MDs or PhDs behind their name, they like to think that maybe they're also the expert in communications, but I want them to understand that I'm the expert in communications. And also I can take this off their plate so they don't have to worry about this part. I know that the best method for them to get their message out, and so to trust me.
It's all about collaboration at the end of the day. That sounds really exciting that you're building this whole corporate strategy, and I think that's going to really elevate not only Tulane, but the School of Medicine and also your career. That must be so exciting, taking on this new challenge and really building the corporate brand from the ground up.
It's exciting to be the person who decides the strategy and the person who gets to put their expertise into what is the message that we get out. And also it's great to be looped in with these conversations that I'm talking to the dean and talking with leadership about here's the best message at this time. And it's messages for anything from what we're putting in the magazine as far as like the letter for the fall issue, or I was working with the dean when we had Hurricane Francine recently and working on messages that we got out to the community and making sure that we were all on the same page of what people needed to know, how to get that information out, what channels we should put that information in, and ways to reach people.
So I want to ask you a little bit different question. What do you know now that you wish you knew at the beginning of this?
At the beginning of my career, or
this corporate strategy overhaul?
I guess I think the most important thing would probably have been knowing all the stakeholders. And I think we are still figuring out who are all the stakeholders. One thing we don't really have right now is a grasp on who all is creating social media accounts all the time. And I know that can be difficult for a company to really get a handle on it, but having an idea at the beginning of who is it that needs to be getting the messages to you, and who needs to be in coordination with you, and who are like your shared communities that you should be working with and collaborating with to make sure that they're on the same page that you're working from.
And what are you going to ask the community to help or guide you?
Right now, we're working on doing an actual audit of all the different people who are out there with a digital footprint that's related to us. And I think that's important for all companies to do, and to do on a regular basis, so that way you get an idea of where all people are posting. Because sometimes you'll find in any organization, any brand, sometimes people like to go and create their own offshoots of things, whether it's their own logo or their own social media account. And having a good grasp on that is the first, I think, step. But that's where we're, I guess I just completely forgot the question. I'm rambling, but no, that's where we're kind of starting with that right now. And that's my focus, is getting that all together, and then figuring out how to build the shared community where we don't work in the same departments or anything, but I'm sharing a message that you can also share. And we're all working from the same style guide. We're all working from the same brand guidelines. And so that whether I'm posting on social media or you're posting on the website, all of our messages look the same.
All consistency, I think, really helps lend itself to that brand and that reputation. And by doing that audit, you're also able to kind of track down where your reputation is stemming from, whether good, bad, or indifferent. I think that's going to be really crucial for the rest of your corporate strategy vision.
Yeah, you want to make sure that you know who's posting what, and whether it's good or bad. I think of one specific example we saw a couple of weeks ago. I won't name the account, but it's on Twitter X. And the last post that was made was from 2018. And somebody said, "I am no longer running this account. If you want to take it over, please email me at," and gave their address. And so that account is just dead. I actually emailed the person to try to get the account back. But yeah, making sure that you have a lock on those things, because I think a lot of people jump onto, especially on social media, they jump onto the bandwagon, and they might get on Threads, and they might get on Blue Sky and all these different places with no actual strategy of what they're going to do beyond creating the account and maybe those first 3 posts. And talking to people before they do that is really where I want to be, and encouraging people to think about that before they create a new social media post or an account or a web page.
So is there any resources that you're looking for, or anyone that you want to connect to, or any guidance you're seeking?
It came up in the communications panel here today. Ryan was talking about having all your digital assets and having them access to them across the company. And that's one thing I'm looking for, is some kind of tool where we can have all of our digital assets. Because one thing I'm realizing, and we use Box, and I've dabbled in SharePoint, we use Monday, but a place that I can know what James is doing, and then I can know what our graphic designer is doing, and I can know what the web person is doing, or resources that come in from other people. We get resources that Uptown has taken video, and knowing where all of that lives and how to access it, because maybe there's video that was taken last week and it would be great on our website, but the web person doesn't know that exists. And maybe James did a report with some information and some data I could use, and I don't know that exists. And so having a way that we can all be talking about our shared resources or things that we know about, so that we can all use them.
So for any of you out there who have a solution for that, or have any ideas for how to solve this, you can contact Carolyn, and she'll be readily listening to you and all your suggestions, because that does sound like a challenge.
It is. It's not easy. But I think when you know it from what you do in communications is so important, and it's important to have an idea of what you're going to communicate and how you're going to communicate it from the outset. So
absolutely, couldn't have said it better myself. I think that's crucial. Well, thank you so much for joining me and taking the time, and I look forward to more great sessions at BAYOU and the BAYOU.